Hi, I just wanted to make a little short, brief video outlining my watch collection. I've been collecting for a few years, and through different changes and different developing tastes. And let's just jump right in. My first kind of serious watch was this Wenger. I don't know how exactly to pronounce that. Swiss military. It's a quartz watch. Kind of a mid-price, watch. It was a gift from my mom, so it has a lot of sentimental quality to me. But other than that, it's also just a really kind of nice looking watch for what it is and for the price. I've replaced the strap a few times, and this is a nice kind of dark leather replacement that is a lot better than what came on it. Surprisingly, it's a chronograph, but it claims to be 100 meters water resistant, which I've never swam with this, obviously, mostly because I don't really trust that underwater, being that these pushers, if they were to be pressed on accident, and the crown is not a screw in, it's just a regular push pull, I think that I'd be a little worried about water getting into the case. But and not only that, but it's on a leather strap. But I will say that the appearance of the dial and just kind of the overall build of this watch is really good. You kind of see, like, it's got this nice, the rose gold on the outer bezel, and on the crown and pushers has kind of started to turn a little more yellow gold, which is just kind of what happens over time with rose gold. And you can see it has applied indices and a really nice polish on the hands and everything else, and just a lot of nice rose gold accents on the dial. And it's really a nice looking watch for something that's probably sub $500, and it contrasts really well with this stainless steel finish. Just kind of a brushed, really not bad. I will say that as my taste developed, I've kind of gravitated a little more towards smaller sized watches. This one, I believe, is about a 43 millimeter case, which is a little big on my 7-inch wrist. But, overall, not bad. And you can see the seconds are here on the right, and I'll hit this. And you've got the on the left, you've got your minutes and hours, but really nice action. And the seconds hand really clicks nicely for a quartz watch. It's always aligned to each one of these little hash marks, and I find that really satisfying and nice. It's just a good quality quartz watch. I think that it's important for everyone to have in their collection. And just also, a nice leather strap watch. This lends itself to being kind of dressy, but also it can be dressed down. But I find that I probably wear this one the least now. But, well, that's not true. I'll show you the next one. This was my first mechanical watch, and it's an Invicta, pretty obvious sub knockoff. I can't believe, I don't know if they still make this model, but I think that this is a scoundrel of a watch for how much it copies the Submariner. I'll give you as much of a close look as I can. It's not bad looking, but I bought this watch at a time. This was my first mechanical watch, and it was at a time when I was like, hey, this looks just like a Rolex. I'll just buy this. And, that was kind of where I was at then. And now I kind of despise the knockoff watches, but to be fair, it is gold plated, and you can see where it's worn off a lot. I think just if you're thinking about getting a gold plated watch like this, just don't bother, because not that I even wore this watch a ton, but like, look at how much you can just see that the plating has worn off. And despite all of the kind of hate that Invicta gets, I will say that the build quality, I'll show you the display back. It's literally, so I think this is probably some kind of a, Chinese movement of some kind. It's literally the rotor has a sticker over it that says Invicta Watch Company. But anyway, at the time I enjoyed this watch, and it's, like I said, it's such a ripoff. It's the same, like 40 millimeter size. My dad has a pretty similar, he has a two-tone, a real Rolex sub, and I've compared the two, and the dimensions are pretty close. So anyway, despite all of the kind of, I'd never wear this watch. It's kind of just more of a, for fun, like to mess around with and kind of experiment with things. And for a long time, this was kind of like my pool watch, just because it does have, let's see, it's 200 meters water resistant, and it has the screw down crown. But I will say, the movement is not the worst, and the hand winding feels pretty good, and the fact that it has hand winding is nice. It also has hacking stop seconds function. But, it keeps decent time. I have noticed that I've had this watch for probably about 6 or 7 years, and the power reserve does seem to have gone down. It really will only run for about maybe, a day or so. And this is not the kind of watch that I would ever try and service or work on in any way. It's just kind of a, it's cheap. I think I bought this for, around $100 on Amazon. One more thing I will say is the bezel action is actually surprisingly good. It's loud and clicky, which is not what you would find on a modern sub, but like absolutely no backplay. And it really, it's not bad. Okay, so moving on, that kind of brings me to this diver watch. This is my most recent purchase, and I've been really happy with it overall. It's the Seiko SKX 007. And this is the Seiko rubber strap, but I bought it on the Seiko kind of Jubilee, and it's fine. I'll put this on sometimes, but I find lately this is kind of like my workout and pool watch, so it tends to kind of stay on the rubber strap right now, which is pretty comfy. And I will say also, the Jubilee is super rattly, and it's pretty comfortable, but it's a little bit on the heavy side. But it's not the worst quality, but compared to a Rolex Jubilee, it's not going to be the same. And with this watch, I found that I really like this kind of stretchy rubber strap. I will say, if you're considering getting the SKX, make sure that you buy, if you're looking to do what a lot of people do and change out straps, make sure you buy one that's going to be compatible with the Seiko spring bars, because this has some really fat, big old spring bars. And so, like, for instance, before I bought this kind of cheap, rubber strap with these, kind of the convenient little built-in strap bars. But like, these strap bars in diameter are so much smaller that when you put it on the watch, they're gonna like move and rattle around a lot, and it's probably gonna bug you and make you think that your watch is gonna fly off the strap. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to do that. This watch has great lume at night. I find that, like, you know, sometimes if I am like in a hotel or something and I'm in a situation where I'm sleeping with my watch on, the lume is like just as bright in the morning as it was, you know, at night. The movement's pretty good, like I said. It's not hand winding, so you have to kind of, like, you know, if it dies, you have to wind it up like that. I will say that this crown is like, you know, I think it maybe has gotten a little better, but one of my complaints has been that the crown, to screw it in and to unscrew it, and like, this is kind of a minor complaint, but it is like so sharp and the threads are so gnarly, and that's probably why it has good water resistance, but like, it's gonna beat the tips of your fingers up. I think that probably I bought this watch to see if I would like the size of a larger diver, and it does wear pretty big. So I have 7-inch wrist, and it's probably about the biggest I would go on a watch. It's also pretty thick on the side, but you know, anyway, it's a good, this is like my workout watch, my pool watch, kind of just, you know, my beater that I can wear any day and, you know, kind of just mess around with. From there, I'll go to this. This is my, clean that off, my Hamilton khaki, I think it's the khaki field watch, mechanical, and I really like this watch a lot. This was kind of an impulse buy for me, but this has been one of my favorite everyday watches, just because the size is so good, for me at least. I will say, if you're a fan of, you know, more traditional timepieces, this is a good choice for just a good everyday watch. It came on the NATO strap, and I swapped it out for this kind of, I think it's chevron. It's an adjustable NATO, just because I don't like to have a lot of the extra, you know, hang off on the side. But this watch is so sturdy feeling, and it wears super thin on the wrist. It's just like, it's so effortless to wear that I feel like it can kind of go anywhere. And the winding, it's a manual wind, so you have to wind it pretty much, you know, every day or every other day. It will run for a solid, you know, about 48 hours, I've found, but the wind is really nice, and then when you're done, it kind of just stops. And it has it has hacking, which, you know, is, I guess, useful. Doesn't really matter that much to me. But overall, it's just a really solid, you know, kind of less expensive watch. I love that it has these drilled lugs. I haven't put a strap on this yet, but I think it would be kind of nice with, you know, a leather strap. I might try that out at some point. I guess my one kind of complaint, I'll get a shot of the back case. Really nice. I think this is an ETA movement. The other nice thing is that this looks like, you know, it looks like the bezel is a separate part on first glance, but when you really like look at it closely, you see that the bezel edge is milled. You know, this whole case is just like, they've milled the bezel out of it, which is so cool to me. So it's just one piece, and it's super light. It's got this nice, like, kind of sandblasted finish. So it's, you know, it's got a nice matte color to it. And I think the dial is really, has a nice charm to it. In person, it's really nice. You know, it's got this, I think it's a sapphire crystal with a little bit of a lip, and the lume is pretty good. Not as good as like my Seiko, but I find that it's really easy to read. And I love that, you've got your second hand goes all the way out to the minute marker, and so does the minute hand. That's kind of a thing that annoys me on some of these other watches, is that, like, on this you've got a big gap. On the Seiko, you kind of have the same thing. You've got your outer indices, but like, I feel like that the hand should reach all the way out. It's kind of cheap looking when it doesn't. But anyway, I love this watch. I think it's really functional. And for, a cheap watch, you're not that afraid to wear it out. My one complaint is the water resistant. It's only a 5 bar, so 50 meter water resistant. That's kind of the lowest water resistance of any of my watches, so it's definitely not, I probably wouldn't, I don't think you'd want to swim with it. And I've just heard that, if it had a screw down crown, it'd probably be 100. And I think that's the only weakness of this watch, is that you can't really submerge it. But anyway, I find myself, like, if I just want to put a watch on and not like worry about it or have to match it to anything, like, this is a good neutral piece, and it looks good. It's just it flies under the radar, but like, it does its job. It keeps great time. This thing keeps probably like very close to the best time of all of my watches. So that's kind of, I would say, like, my favorite, any situation, everyday watch, and very versatile. And then my favorite is this, my Rolex Datejust. Really beautiful. It's the classic kind of, some guys kind of like to hate on this model, and they say it's, this is your grandpa's Rolex, which, that's all fine. But, once you really have one of these on and you live with it for a while, it's so easy to wear. I think this one is from I think it's a 97 model. And it's really good condition. When I got it, it was like basically brand new. I mean, it's, no scratches. The winding feels really nice. The dial is like perfect. I mean, not any sign of wear on the dial. And, the bracelet is in really good shape, considering that it's a little bit of an older model. I see a lot of these where, like, especially, like I said, with this, this Seiko, it's not on, so it's hard to tell, but like, it's a little just like loose and, rattly, which is just what you get for the money. But this one is like in such good shape. Got this older style Rolex clasp, which is pretty beat up, but I'm not too upset about that. I mean, this is a watch that I wear a lot of times. Pretty much I wear this watch, this is my preferred piece for most situations, because God, it just wears so nice. I love the 36 millimeter size. I didn't think I would like it as much at first, but it really does. Like, it wears really small, thin, but at the same time, like, I feel like it photographs so well, and it looks bigger, and just look at how it catches the light on that fluted bezel. It's so nice. I don't really like the trend of how a lot of Datejust just have the smooth bezel. I think the fluted bezel is so beautiful to look at, and it's such a versatile watch. I mean, I wear this watch with a suit, to formal events, to work meetings. I get some shots of this watch also wears really well casually, just with jeans. I will say my one complaint is it's a little rattly, and I think it's mostly just because of these, it's got the older style hollow end links that Rolexes used to have, and these ones, I don't know if these can maybe be tightened, but I don't mess with this watch a lot. It's really special to me, and I try to preserve it as much as possible. So, I probably won't ever try to take the the bracelet off myself until it needs service. But really nice. A little bit scratched up on there, but I mean, such a pretty piece. Just I love the way that I think that I've kind of started to notice, maybe just because I own this watch, I've noticed more young guys like myself, kind of wearing these around. It seemed like for the last several years, with the boom of larger sports pieces, stuff that looks like this, have kind of taken over. But I don't know. It just seems to me like when I look at Instagram and I look at what other guys are wearing, I'm starting to kind of see more of these like 36 millimeter, Datejusts and Explorers and Oyster Perpetuals and stuff. And I can't help but think that maybe these are kind of making a comeback. So, that's that Rolex. But yeah, that's my collection. I just wanted to kind of make a little video and show my experiences with some of these watches, and I hope you enjoy. Oh yeah, I've also got I'm a big fan of I like this watch obviously with the NATO, and this one also does really well. If you want the SKX, I would recommend trying it with a NATO. It can be really it can make it really comfortable. But anyway, thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any questions about these pieces.